You've heard about insulin sensitivity, but what actually does that mean? In this video, I'm going to show you exactly what it is and what to do about it. The issue is not that you have too much sugar in your blood, it's that you have nowhere to put it. And those are two completely different problems. Everyone's trying to fix a blood sugar problem by removing glucose, cutting carbs, cutting the sugar, and shrinking the input. But the better move is to build somewhere for that glucose to go. You know, the guy who cuts the carbs, watches his numbers improve, and then say that he's fixed it. He didn't actually get healthier. He just stopped taking the test. And if you're the one that's white knuckling low carb just to hold these numbers, you're going to be doing the exact same thing, quietly dismantling the very things that are going to be able to handle that sugar. By the end of this video, they're going to know exactly what insulin sensitivity actually is and the three tanks that decide where your food goes and the ranked list of what moves it. Starting with the one that costs just 10 minutes and works even if you're already resistant. My name is Noel Nolm. I'm a pro football player for the Toronto Argonauts. I was a D1 wide receiver and two-time team captain at Eastern Washington University, and now I'm the founder of Make It Happen Coaching, where I run high performers through exactly this. As you guys can see, I've done this with myself, and we've done this with over 100 others. So stay till the end. I'm going to show you guys exactly how to do this. We're going to go step by step through all these infographics, just like we do with our other videos. It's going to make a ton of sense to you guys. So here's the move that everyone does. Everyone makes the move to cut the glucose. They think that that is the solution, but the better move is building somewhere for that glucose to go. So cutting carbs is going to lower your numbers just by removing the challenge that it provides your body with knowing what to do with that. It's not actually going to fix anything. And cutting carbs backfires. We've made a ton of videos on this, but this has been shown specifically in this case to reduce the muscle's glucose handling machinery, or the way that it handles this glucose. It will literally affect the transporters that are going to let that sugar in. So you're going to have better numbers, but you're not going to have that infrastructure in your body to be able to handle this properly. And you didn't get better at handling sugar. Like I've already said, you literally just stopped asking your body to do that. So the answer isn't to shrink the input. It's to build the sink. It's the same move as metabolic priming that we do. We're going to raise the ceiling instead of lowering the floor. It's like saying, okay, I want to save all this money. I want to save all this money, as opposed to focusing on making more money, which is an infinite game. You can make infinitely more money, but you're limited to how much that you can save. So to build the sink, we have to know exactly what we're building. And so this is what we're going to go through right now. Insulin sensitivity, if you've heard this and you don't know what it is, or you're familiar, we're going to go over it again really quickly. Insulin sensitivity is just how much work you get out of a given amount of insulin. So sensitive means that a little bit of insulin puts the glucose away efficiently. Resistant means that your pancreas has to yell and scream to get this same job done. So as opposed to a little bit of work, it's a lot of work to get it done. That's the whole definition. So insulin is not the villain. You would literally die without it. It's going to store and it's going to put fuel into your tissue. Super, super important. So why does your body care so much about this? Glucose damages your blood vessels if it's going to sit in the blood, and especially for too high for too long. So your normal fasting sugar is only about 80 to 100 milligrams per deciliter. And a teaspoon spread across your whole blood volume, that's basically what it would be equivalent to, if I were to give you an idea, because a lot of people don't know what 80 to 100 milligrams per deciliter is. So extra glucose has to be pulled out fast, and your body's going to put it into tissue. Your body isn't trying to store fat. It's trying to get the glucose off of your vessel walls, your blood vessel walls. So where does it put this excess? Like, what does it do with it? And when I said the three tanks, this is where your glucose goes. So every gram of glucose is going to go into one of these three tanks. The liver is only going to hold about 100 grams, and it's going to be the thing that fills first. Muscle holds 300 to 400 grams, which is your big tank and the one that you control. And then fat is unlimited. So it's always accepting glucose. So insulin knocks on the liver and the muscle door first goes into those. But if those two tanks are full because you already ate plenty and then you used none of that glucose, the tank that's open is the fat ones. This is why people are so scared of carbohydrates, and they're scared that it's going to build fat and get you fat, but it's just not true. It is not true. So when we go into this next part here, the liver holds about 100 grams, like we talked about, in fills first. So when it does go into that muscle, why does it maybe, like, why do you feel like you're insulin resistant? A full unused muscle has no reason to accept more glucose, so it's going to stop answering the insulin's knock, right? So then the insulin's going to knock harder, and then over the years, when we talk about somebody that's been dealing with this over the years, the door's just going to stop responding in general, and that is insulin resistance, not your body breaking, but it's literally running out of places to put this glucose. And to see how you open that door, we come right over here. Quick and simple. It's going to literally walk you through these steps right here on this graphic. Blood sugar rises. Your pancreas is going to increase insulin. Insulin's going to bind a receptor on the muscle cell, and that's going to fire a cascade. That cascade is going to send little doors called GLUT4, and those are going to go to the cell surface. Those doors let the glucose in. So insulin resistance isn't a break in the middle of the chain. It's the insulin's just there banging on that receptor, but the message is not getting through. So those doors, they're never able to find them. They never show up. The doors never show up. And so it actually causes the break is fat. This is when your fat tissues run out of room. So that lipid spills into your liver and your muscle. That fat inside the muscle cell gums up, and then the signaling cascade is all jammed up. So that's the dominant mechanism in most people, and it's the real driver behind, you know, having that energy surplus and then where the fat ends up. It's not sugar. So this is the biggest thing that I think you guys can come away with this is endurance athletes have a lot of fat stored inside their muscle fibers, and they're some of the most insulin sensitive people on the earth. Now, sedentary, overweight people have that same fat in the same place, and they're insulin resistant. So they have the same fat in the same location, but it's two completely different outcomes. So it can't be the fat itself. What separates them is the traffic, right? The athlete is constantly using and refilling that fat. So that's the difference. Their fuel tank that we just talked about is in active use, where the person who's sedentary, who's overweight, it just sits there, right? It's not moving. It's not the storage that hurts you. It's storage with nothing moving through it. There's no cycle of this being used by your body. The usage is the biggest variable when we're focusing on this right here. And this is the strongest argument for this video is, you know, for moving more over eating fewer carbs, right? It would make a lot of sense to do that. But the problem was never the fuel that was in the tank. Glucose is not the issue. It's that your tank is sitting idle. So there's one specific thing that puts traffic through the tank, and this is really without needing any insulin at all. When we come over here, muscle contraction is going to open that door without insulin. So when a muscle contracts, it pulls that GLUT4 and it pulls that door to the surface through a completely different pathway. So this literally doesn't need insulin at all. And this was done in a 2024 review, and they found that this meant three things. A walk after a meal lowers your blood sugar, even if you're insulin resistant, because the insulin pathway can be broken. And this one will still work no matter what. So after you train, your muscle is also going to become a glucose vacuum for a day or two. And so that's why the carbs land much better on a training day, because you're feeding a tank that is open, that needs that fuel, that is going to be refilled. It's super, super important to understand that. So even if you're insulin resistant, this is good. We come over to how important this 10-minute walk is, right? A 2022 review, as you can see, we've got it down here on the bottom, found that just 2 to 15 minutes of light walking after a meal lowered the spike in a meaningful amount. So literally that's just you take a phone call, right? You got all these things you need to handle with your clients, with your family. You just taking a phone call and you walking, standing up. You don't need better insulin. You can open this door for yourself. Let's rank all the stuff really quickly, these levers that we can pull to improve these. Now, is it a surprise? It's all the things that we that we focus on, right? Walk after meals, just mention that. It's such a low-hanging fruit that we can do. Lifting weights, super important. It's going to build a bigger tank. As you can see how important it is, we need to have our as much muscle mass as we can because that's going to allow us to put more glucose in there and not spill into fat. And your muscle is the main organ that's going to dispose of this blood sugar. So your muscle isn't just decoration; it's an incredibly useful organ that you're going to be able to, or sorry, not organ, but it's an incredibly important part of your body that you're going to be able to really improve your health and not just get shredded. Number 3, sleep, 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 sleepity sleep. I could go on and on. Even just one night is going to drop your sensitivity. Number 4, break up your sitting. Every hour, go get on a phone call. Like you can train at 6 a.m. and get a really good session in and then undo it for sitting for 9 hours straight. Do not do that. Number 5, living in a chronic surplus. This is the slow, this can be the dominant driver and it's going to get worse before you gain the weight. Now, this is different. If you're looking to build muscle and do all these things, that's different. But a lot of people, what type of surplus I'm talking about. You're not eating your protein. You're not getting your vegetables. Like before you get all this starch, all these things, we need to get those that will flatten the curve. So eating protein and vegetables before are going to flatten that curve. So when you eat the food, you're not going to have as much of a blood sugar spike. Those are two, like that and walking after meals are two just really low-hanging fruit things that you guys can do right now. And so that's super important. The next thing is fiber, 30 grams plus. We do it with our meal that we have with our psyllium husk, our flaxseed, our chia seeds, a really easy way to get that in than your vegetables, obviously. So we test, we don't guess here, right? So fasting glucose is going to be the last marker to move. So your body will crank up insulin for years to keep that glucose looking normal. And by the time your fasting glucose is actually high, this has already been building for a long time. So even though it says your glucose is normal, it's one of the last things that's going to come around. So ask for earlier signals when you guys get your blood work. And this little graphic here is going to list them all. Fasting insulin, this is the one that most doctors are going to skip. As you can see, you can go down the line, screenshot this, bring this to your doctor. You get all these things. It's going to be a flag, and it'll give you an idea of where you're at. At the end of the day, what you need to do, you need to do all those things that we just talked about. The carbs aren't the issue; it's your habits. That's the truth. So if I were to give you guys, 3 takeaways, and really after we look at these final myths, right? Like insulin doesn't make you fat. Remember, we just talked about the cardio, the long distance runners, and the people that are sedentary, and the match calories. It's the energy surplus that's going to really mess you up. Sugar causes insulin resistance. No, excess does. So even high fat overfeeding is going to impair that. Low carb is not going to fix it. What's going to fix it is doing those 7 things and metabolic priming. That's the biggest thing that we do. We introduce carbs and we increase them strategically to create metabolic adaptation so you burn more calories at rest. And supplements, you do not need to worry about these. You don't need to worry about berberine or these things that are going to blunt this. No. We need to have a walk. We need to have protein and vegetables to start. We need to do metabolic priming. And even if you're lean, sensitivity is going to worsen before your body composition does. This is something just to be aware of. And this is something that when we look at the studies, it definitely takes mortality rates are higher. Like this ages you, these blood sugar spikes. So walk after your biggest meal. Build and use the muscle. You got to do this through metabolic priming. Raise your carbs strategically before you get into a cut. And then after you're done them, raise them back up. That's going to be the biggest thing. When you go get the test, your blood test, get fasting insulin and HOMA IR, or HOMA IR, not just your glucose, because glucose is the last thing to move. So don't just wait for that. But these are going to be the biggest things. This is insulin sensitivity. This is a little bit more in depth on this topic. And if you guys are looking to get in the best shape of your life, and handle bigger topics like this and really take control of your health and performance to maximize your income and impact, then this is exactly what we do. So you guys can go down below, go to my Instagram, DM me Shred, or booking for a call down below if you feel like this is the right fit. We'll have a conversation. This is not for everybody. This is for the six-figure earner that really wants to implement a system that they can take with them for the rest of their life and change the quality of their life and their health and performance forever. We'll see you guys in the next video. Comment down below what you guys want to see next. Make it happen. Out.